Welcome to Blue Talks.
Do you know that today is a historic day for 3 reasons? Number one, this is the first time 3 people from Edmonton have been on the same stage at Harvard at the same time. That's pretty amazing. Secondly, it's the first time the triad for the Blue Talks is going to be completed. I've done 3 talks. This is my 3rd talk. The first one was on the universe. It was on the beauty is a stereotype. Let's be attractive instead. The second one was on life. I shared with you a life-changing experience and my golden pearls that I've learned from it. And today we're going to talk about the B, the business, and the secrets they didn't teach you in business school in general. Now, why is it important to know that it's about business school? You'd think they teach you everything, right? Isn't that what business school is about? You mean you either get an MBA or a PhD. Well, what does MBA stand for? More bad advice. And what does PhD stand for? Piled high and deep. So guess what? There's a lot of theory in business school. I trained in one of the hardest schools known to man. My teacher was the teacher of hard knocks. And you know why that's the hardest teacher? Because it gives the test before it gives the lesson. And how many of you been schooled in the school of hard knocks? Yeah. Isn't it the hardest teacher? Yeah. But aren't the lessons that are learned the most valuable that you'll ever get? I don't think you'll ever forget any of those lessons, and nor will you ever forget anything about them. So why should you listen to me? Okay? I've only won 16 consecutive Consumer Choice Awards for the best in cosmetic surgery in Edmonton. I was Philanthropist of the Year in 2013 in Edmonton. So I know 1 or 2 things about business. And yes, I was a cosmetic doctor, but I think it was my business preeminence that took me to the top of the class and really taught them. And I'm going to teach you the secrets of it today. Who wants to learn the secrets of doing business? Cool. In 2018, I had a quiet year. I saw 20,000 patients and did 27,000 procedures. Okay? Now here's some of my teachers. Dan S. Kennedy. Has anybody heard of Dan Kennedy? He's the millionaire maker. He writes the No BS series of books. Well, I was in his personal mastermind club for 4 years. So I learned a lot of secrets from him. Does anyone know Tony Robbins? Ow! Yeah. I've been going to a lot of his seminars over the years as well. What was his first book? The Giant Within, right? That's what we all have to be, the giant within. What about Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul? He's personally helping me write a book right now, and I'm writing a chapter in his new book right now. So I've had some personal mentorship from some of the best. And then, of course, there's Brendan Burchard. Who can forget Mr. High Energy himself? He's the guy that has turned on the high energy circuit. Again, I was a member of his mastermind clubs. So I've had some pretty good teachers along the way. So what did I learn? Well, I graduated from medicine in 1983 at the University of Alberta. I interned at the Misericordia Hospital, and then I went into internal medicine for 2 years, and I completed a residency in dermatology at the University of Minnesota. So I'm trained on both sides of the border. But during the 1990s, Canada's healthcare system started going bad. So that's when I decided to go into cosmetic dermatology. It was a totally new field. Botox had just been invented. Fillers had just been invented. So I helped to develop them to another level. Lasers were primitive. They're nothing like they are now. And lasers keep developing. So I started to learn the business of laser surgery, and I was one of the first laser pioneers. And then I was one of the first liposuction doctors as well. And that was a huge benefit for people. The biggest fat sucker in North America is what I became known as, because I was one of the best at doing liposuction in the world. And I kept on doing that for many decades. I invented something called tumescent laser-assisted liposuction, meaning it was totally done under local anesthesia. It was assisted by lasers, and it was done by very high-powered techniques. I became one of the top in the world at scar correction. I learned how to take off the world's worst burn scars and make people live normal lives as a result of it. And I did that totally for free. Okay? Lasers, Botox, and fillers, everybody knows them now, but when I gave my first talk on Botox, 3 people in the room lifted their hand that they had heard about it. Pretty scary, isn't it? And now, I'm one of the #1 experts in overcoming obstacles. I'm a #1 expert in living a fantastic life. And I'm a partner with my good friend Harry and Lycka on writing the book Secrets of Living a Fantastic Life, which will be out sometime in the new year. So stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of publicity about this. I just was at the National Publicity Summit in New York with Steve Harrison's group, and we've got over 50 interviews to do in the next 2 months. Everything from Brian and Kelly to you name it. It's going to be a very crazy year starting off. Okay, now I'm going to tell you something about business. Almost everything you've been taught is wrong. Okay? Something scary. Business is something you have to have. It's your soul. You have to live every day. It's not something you do. It's not about numbers. It's not about things like that. Myths to succeed. When I started medical school, they used to say there were 3 things you needed to be successful. One is you had to be affable. You had to be friendly. You had to be available. And you had to be able. Well, first of all, I know many doctors that are not affable and do very well. How many doctors do you know that are really friendly? I think you can count them on one hand, maybe one finger is okay. Being available. How many doctors do you know that are available? Can you call your doctor right now and get your doctor? Yeah, right. Which world do you live in? Okay, what about able? Well, I know many doctors that are not able, and yet they do very well. Okay? You must come from a particular residency or training school. How many of you have been told that you have to go to a particular school to be a speaker? Or a particular training program to do something well? I don't think so. You have to learn it by yourself. You must buy every program out there. How about that? How many people try to get you to buy program after program after program? No, that's not what it's about. And finally, if you succeed, it's not because of anything you've done, it's because you're lucky, right? That's what got you there, is you're lucky. It's got nothing to do with all the things you've done, it's because you're lucky. So I'm going to talk to you about Lycka principles, some of the principles I've learned to be successful. The biggest breakthroughs come from businesses outside your business, not in your business. Now, what do I mean by that? How many of you have gone to a McDonald's takeout window? Yeah, right. I think everybody has at one time in their lifetime or not. Now, did you know that was invented by the banking business? The banking business actually invented the takeout window, and then it was adapted to the fast food industry. And who uses it right now? The fast food industry, of course. Okay. Now, the #1 thing you must be to be successful is to be an authority. What is an authority? An authority, first of all, is driven. They are obsessed to become the best at what they can be. And I think that counts on everybody in this room. You are driven, so you are authorities. Now, why is it important to be an authority? Because that's how you become the top of your field and really command that field. Now, what do the authorities do? They write books. Okay? See, anybody got that on their checklist of things to do or are doing? Good. I've only written 18 books in my lifetime.
There you go.
Okay? I'm writing 3 more. One is with Corey, Another one is with Jack Canfield, and a third one is My Secrets of Living a Fantastic Life. So guess what? Authorities write books. Secondly, they're presidents or vice presidents of organizations. I've been president or vice president of so many organizations I can't count them anymore. They appear on television, especially the news. If you can be on the news for anything, that gives you a halo effect and really helps you to get to the next level. They appear in newspapers. Okay, now that's becoming less of a trend now because newspapers are dying. So maybe we should place the word newspapers with you're on the internet. Maybe YouTube, maybe on video, maybe on some podcast. But newspapers are still important and they still give you a credibility factor. So I still encourage you to be in them. Now, what do authorities do? They speak to groups and other conferences, right? I speak to groups and conferences all the time. I seek them out. And here's a pearl for you if you want to speak and make your speech better. Rotary groups need a speaker every week. They don't pay you, but they increase your credibility. So if you want to speak, put your name out to Rotary groups. In a city like this in Boston, there's probably 40 of them. How many of you, while you're here, are speaking at a Rotary group? Probably none, okay, because they don't usually run on weekends. But when I spoke in Chiang Mai, it's because I was there and I asked to speak at a Rotary group. It was great. When I was in San Diego speaking a Blue Talk, I gave a Rotary talk out in Laguna Beach that night.
Nice.
I was in town already, why not? Okay? The other things you need to speak at national and international levels, you need to be on television and radio. Okay? Positioning. How many of you can say you're number one at anything?
Woo!
Well, start saying it.
Yeah!
And start living it. Because that's the positioning you need. You need to write those books. Now, how do you write a book? It's very easy. All you need to do is slit your wrists and bleed. Okay? The hard part is not writing the book, it's editing the book. Anybody can put words on paper, but to make them sound right and do right, that's the editing process. So get your book written. What is a book? 10 chapters. How many pages in each chapter? 6 to 10 pages. Okay? Can any of you write 6 to 10 pages on most topics?
Yeah.
Okay, you've written your book. So it's not a hard thing to do. The hard thing to do is put your ass on the seat of a chair and write it.
Yeah.
Okay? That last, a couple of other things, you must do shameless self-promotion.
Yeah.
You've got to believe in yourself enough to be able to say you're good at things. Now, I personally hate doing this, okay? But I become good at it because I try hard at it, okay? So the whole thing is once you become good at something, people ask you for it. And they expect certain things of you. You know, it's funny, but after all my years, I can't go anywhere without people knowing me. It's scary, actually. How I walk into the airport in Toronto, and people, are you Dr. Lycka? A couple of years ago, I was in New York, going to one of the plays there. Person, are you Dr. Lycka? That's what happens when you get that promotion factor going. People recognize you, and they know you, okay? Effective use of the media is very important. You must learn how to use the media. There's several courses on that, and you must learn how to do things very well. Associate with a bigger cause. Now, how many of you, as one of your priorities, have put a bigger cause as part of what you do? Good. Because I think that's a very important thing. Why is that important? Well, it lifts you above everybody else. One of the biggest things I've been supporting is anything that's against violence in women. And I've been a big supporter of women's shelters over the years. And that's what my book Living a Fantastic Life is going to support women's shelters in every city that I speak in.
Thank you.
So a contribution of every book will be to help support that. If we can end domestic violence, do you understand what a better world this will be?
Yes.
Do you understand what this will be? What drove me to do scar correction for women is in some cultures, they throw acid in women's faces and terribly scar them. Well, we found a solution for that. The problem is, it's been hard to introduce in Pakistan and Afghanistan because there's such a throwback on it. But I'll guarantee within the next 20 to 30 years, those lasers will be used in all those communities to such an extent that people won't be throwing acid in people's faces anymore because it won't do them any good. We have a solution for it, okay? Work on big things. Don't work on small things. If you could take any message away from this, the big projects are what you should be concentrated at. Put them at the top of your list, not at the bottom of your list. Okay? Now, here's a big word that Corey said already, and we didn't collude in any way, did we, Corey? Service. Service is a very, very, very big word. And he mentioned a couple of great books on this, but I'd like you to look back and get a series of books called Knock Your Socks Off Service. They are some of the best books on service you're ever going to have. Now, they're a little bit dated now, but they keep bringing out new ones all the time. Knock your socks off service. Can you picture if you had knocked your socks off service any place you went, how great it would be? I tell you, in Canada, service is dead. It absolutely doesn't exist. You go to a store and they ignore you. You go to a restaurant, they ignore you. The service model of Starbucks, I think, is some 16-year-old kid that's so engrossed in their phone that they don't want to have anything to do with you at all. You're there as something in their way rather than somebody they should serve. Well, let's change that. Let's make this a better place by bringing service back. You know, at least when I come to the United States, I see service happening. When I go to Thailand, I see people so grateful for what they get every day. It's beyond belief. You know, maybe we need that back again. Maybe we need that hunger. Maybe we need that drive back again. And the world will be a better place. Now, another thing. How many of you know a celebrity?
We don't call it.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, there's me and Corey. How many of you have your picture taken with Corey?
Woo! Yeah.
Okay, look guys, every place you go, there's celebrities. Why don't you get your picture taken with them wherever you go? You've got a cell phone. Me and my daughter and Dr. Oz when he was speaking in Edmonton. It's not a great picture. I haven't been able to find a good picture I took. But again, look, I'm with Dr. Oz. What does that do?
Elevates your
It elevates my status. Who's this girl? I can't tell you how she put her hand on my chest. So I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. But the point is, I was at a conference with Paula and I asked for her picture and she said, I'm going to make your wife jealous. And I was very happy she did. But this is a great picture. And what Paula's biggest claim to fame is she has a motto, fake it till you make it. How many of you can fake it until you make it?
Woo!
Yeah, okay. Who's this guy?
Connor.
Connor. Now, all you hockey fans know Connor, right? Well, how did I get that? Well, I've been a season's ticket holder for 30 years or so. They had a special night for our season tickets holders. I was able to get a picture with Connor last year when Edmonton was not doing well. This year, forget it. You're not going to get close to him with a 10,000-foot pole. Nick Lees, who's a journalist in the Edmonton Journal. How many people know the Edmonton Journal? Many. How many people know Nick Lees? Quite a few. Who's this lady?
Carrie Dahl.
Carrie Dahl. Okay, she's no longer the host of CTV, but she was. What do you think that picture did for me? A lot in the Edmonton area. Here's my good friend Harriet Tickett that I'm writing the book with, and my good friend Jack Canfield. How do you think that picture does overall. It's going to do wonders. Who's this girl?
An author?
She is an author. Now you don't recognize her, but you'll recognize her story. Do you remember a girl that was kidnapped in Somalia and kept in Somalia for over 1,000 days as a prisoner? That's Amanda Linton.
Wow.
She's written a book, A House in the Sky. How did I get this picture? She was at a Rotary meeting in Grand Prairie. I was in Grand Prairie to do a TED Talk. There was the regional meeting in Grand Prairie at the same time. Guess where I went to 2 days before my TED Talk? Guess who I listened to speak? One of the best speeches I've ever heard. I bought a copy of her book. She gave me a picture. Now that's a Christmas present for my wife. Don't tell anybody, please. Okay? This is Neil Parishka, who you probably don't recognize, but do you recognize the Book of Awesome?
Yes.
He wrote the Book of Awesome. Okay? Now, he customizes every book. He draws rainbows and watercolors and everything on it when he signs it. So I bought a copy of this for my daughter. Again, please don't tell her. It'll be for a Christmas present. Okay? Michael Smith, The Cooking Channel. How many people watch The Cooking Channel? Okay? Now, did I know Michael Smith? No, but I went to Christmas in January a few years ago. He was one of the main headliners there. I asked if I could get a picture with him. How many places do you go that they're celebrities? Celebrities win awards, right? So I won 16 consecutive Consumer's Choice Awards for Best in Cosmetic Surgery in Edmonton, and I was 213 Philanthropist of the Year. And this is probably my best award ever. I was a humanitarian for service in Cairo, Egypt, because I volunteered there 3 years, and this was their Minister of Health giving me a humanitarian award for service to the people of Egypt. Okay, they give a few speeches. Well, I told you about my 3 blue speeches. Corey told you about my 10 speech. I give speeches at Rotaries all the time. I just gave one on Wednesday in Edmonton at the Mayfield. Guys, you can give speeches. That's what you're on stage for. Give speeches. Get known. Build a great team. My personal helper is a girl by the name of Vera. She helps me with everything I do. She keeps me organized. With her, I couldn't work for 1 minute. Okay, that is my current team. When I was working in cosmetic surgery, I had a team of 30 people. I couldn't work without them. Now, how many of you like to fail? Yeah. I don't think you like to fail, but you like to get beyond failure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Failure is your biggest teacher. You can learn more from failure than success every day. So I encourage you not to hate failure, but to learn from it. Don't welcome it, but get beyond it. I encourage you to take the lessons and do a better job from your failures and be a better person as a result of it. Now, the most important point is you must reinvent yourself every day. Never be boring. If you are boring, the press will turn you down, your colleagues will turn you down, everybody will turn you off within no period of time. So every day you have to reinvent yourself. Here's me in Chiang Mai riding an elephant. Okay? Why is that there? Well, personally, I found this one of the scariest experiences of my life. That elephant is about the size of a skyscraper, so if you fall off it, you're going to get killed. So I got on, got my picture taken, and I'm off. But the important thing is I'm not being boring. The triangle of preeminence. Okay, what does it say at the top? It says patient service. When I was a dermatologist, I'm about patient service. Service is very important. Extraordinary marketing is very important. And community service is very important. Giving it back, like I talked about. And lastly, what should you do when you have success? You need to celebrate.
Yes.
What is this? This is a picture in Chiang Mai of the Lantern Festival. where they released 20,000 lanterns to the sky all at once. It was one of the most awesome celebrations I had ever seen. Now, I don't expect you to celebrate to that extent, but I expect you to celebrate when you do accomplishments and remember them. Celebration is what it's all about. Make sure you acknowledge us and celebrate the important things, such as being here in Harvard, such as being here on the stage with such an amazing group of people. I'm so proud to be associated with this, it's beyond belief.